Welcome to the Sliding Compound Mitre Saw module. Within this module, I will identify the main parts, go over setup procedures, and I will demonstrate how to operate the Sliding Compound Mitre Saw in a safe and correct manner. This tool is usually the first step for the operator in the milling process, as it enables one to cross-cut lumber to rough length. This means the actual length of your workpiece plus 1 inch. Some of the most relevant parts of the Sliding Compound Mitre Saw include the turntable and handle. The handle is turned counterclockwise to loosen the assembly, which enables the table to pivot side to side. When the desired angle is selected, turn the handle clockwise to lock the table. Above the handle there are two switches. One is the lockout switch and the other is the on switch, or the trigger switch for the machine. Without depressing and holding down the lockout switch, the trigger switch will not engage. This is a safety mechanism so that if the trigger switch is inadvertently depressed, the saw will not start up. Around the circumference of the blade there is a blade guard, which is spring-loaded and applies constant pressure in order to cover the exposed portion of the blade at all times. This is a very important safety measure which should never be tampered with. If it does not function, the machine should be locked out until it has been repaired. Next, we have the pivot joint, where the saw assembly maneuvers downwards and eventually cuts. Followed by the sliding assembly, which includes polished round rails housed in heavy-duty ball bearings, allowing for smooth in and out movement during operation. At the rear is the dust bag, which collects most of the sawdust generated during cutting. The location that the blade goes into after a cut is called the kerf, and it is flanked by the kerf board. Above this and perpendicular to the machine is the fence, against which we hold our stock to be cut. Notice that attached to the fence is the orange sandpaper, which prevents the workpiece from sliding sideways towards the blade when applying pressure during a cut. This is a very important addition which drastically reduces kickback during operation. The last important location to identify is the illustration close to the fence with the hand plus an X drawn on top of it. This indicates to the operator that you should never have your hand in this area during operation, as you are dangerously close to the blade if something were to malfunction. Now to physically operate the machine. First, as the operator, one must always be physically balanced when using the machine and should always wear eye protection during operation. Start off by holding your stock snug against the fence and apply downward and forward pressure toward the table and fence using your left hand. Ensure that you bring all your fingers together when doing this, as having any digit sticking out can potentially place you in harm's way. Then, using your right hand, place your thumb on the lockout button and then depress the trigger switch. This will start up the machine and you will feel a little upwards kick due to the torque the machine exerts. At this point you may release the lockout switch, as now the saw is operating and it will not shut it down. Remain relaxed and calm. Pull the saw assembly above the stock towards the edge of your workpiece that is closest to you. Then slowly go downwards towards your stock approximately halfway and cut, pushing forward away from your body. Once you have gone to the furthest edge of the workpiece, repeat the procedure. Only this time go all the way down through the workpiece. Once you have finished the second cut, maintain the blade in the kerf board and let go of the trigger. Once the blade stops rotating, then you may safely raise the blade assembly up and into the air. Not waiting for the blade to come to a complete stop can cause a serious kickback and cause injury. Once this has been completed, use a scrap piece to remove your small offcuts from the turntable area. Please never use your hands, as this leads to developing unsafe work habits that lead to injury. In the event the blade momentarily starts up, by not having your fingers and hand in the cutting area, you will always be safe. This concludes the module for the Sliding Compound Mitre Saw. If you have any questions about the material covered, please feel free to contact me at your earliest convenience.